What is going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Welcome back to the Truck Parking Clubhouse. It's me, Mike Lombard. Got you here. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend out there. It's hot. It's hot no matter where you are. Appreciate you guys for tuning in live. We're here every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Central Time, just for a little trucking talk, a little chopping it up with with some of our partners to talk about what's going on and just talk trucking. So appreciate you guys tuning in. The newsletter is out now. Taillights. Speaking of which, taillights hot off the press. One day maybe it'll get to print. But again, dropped earlier today. Accidentally, it was supposed to come out at 7, but accidentally hit send it beforehand. So just some cool stuff going on with additional truck parking going into JFK. I actually threw in a little excerpt from the 1966 edition of Taillights, talking about what makes a driver necessarily good. Got a good health tip in there. And also was talking about what the actual inspection looks like for the English language of proficiency. I know we've touched on it a little bit. We've talked to Santiago Telemontes, former DPS officer, friend of the show, friend of Truck Parking Club. We've been going in on it because it's something that's been happening. DOT secretary said, around 1,500 trucks to be taken out of service. And I kind of put in the newsletter exactly what they're doing on these inspections. So go check it out. It's in your inbox now. Might have to check your spam either way. But without any further delay, I wanted to bring onto the stage for the Clubhouse this beautiful Monday evening, Mr. Russ Edwards. What's going on, brother?
How's it going, bud?
Dude, not too bad, man. It's Monday. We're big Monday respecters over here. How you doing?
Good. Monday's off to a good start this week, so that's always a plus.
Yeah, where are you at right about now?
Right now I'm sitting outside of Crawfordsville, Indiana.
Crawfordsville, Indiana. Now, what do you got on your back?
I've got a 8 Series John Deere tractor out of the factory in Waterloo, Iowa, headed out to North Carolina.
There we go. Love it. Love to see it, dude. Appreciate you jumping on here. I mean, let's dive right into the Russ Edwards story, man. So, where are you from, and what got you into trucking?
So originally I'm from Alaska. I was born up in Soldotna. Grew up in Colorado, and my grandparents on my dad's side, they were truck drivers. My dad drove truck for a little while, but what really attracted me to it, I've always liked diesel trucks. I've always drove diesel pickups and stuff like that since high school. And I started working in the oil field in 2014 and did that all the way up until 2020. And in my time in the oil field, a lot of times they had me hauling equipment field to field, Colorado to Texas, North Dakota, Pennsylvania, stuff like that. And I just had a knack for it. So I was working in our Texas division, and I was down there for a couple of months, and they actually ended up pulling me off the rig site. And our manager down there just had me basically hot shot equipment around to different locations. And I just loved it. I enjoyed being on the road. I've always liked having kind of my own space, just doing my own thing, driving down the road, listening to music. So I really enjoyed it and kind of gravitated towards the hot shot side of things. Um, so that's how I ended up getting my start into trucking. I left the oil field beginning of 2020 and, beginning of 21. Um, Left the oil field and just kind of took a chance. And I already had a dually truck. Couldn't afford a trailer at the time. So I went and actually started doing RV transport out of Elkhart, Indiana. And I ran RVs for about 8 months, enjoyed doing that. Um, but finally saved up the money, bought myself a 40-foot flatbed gooseneck, got my own authority, that kind of thing, and just started doing hot shot. And luckily, a really good friend of mine, he was driving for an outfit out of Nebraska, and she actually was helping me out booking loads and stuff like that with my hot shot business, and that kind of took off. And it was 2022. One of the guys that was driving for her, he had actually bought a hardware store, wanted to get out of trucking, get out of the truck. And he asked if I wanted to drive for him. And I said, absolutely. I've always wanted to move up into the big trucks. And I basically went straight from doing hot shot to hauling oversize. So he put me in the truck and I started running oversized, and I ran for them for a little over a year. And then we parted ways, and I jumped on with the company I'm with now as a company driver last year. Actually, tomorrow is my 1 year anniversary with Valley. So,
No, that's awesome. Kind of backtracking a little bit. I'm kind of curious about the RV moving, like, because I mean, I know how traditional load boards work, and like calling brokers or talking to shippers. But yeah, how were you finding customer? Like, how did you find people who needed their RVs moved?
so actually, I leased my pickup on with a company in Elkhart, Indiana called Indiana Transport. They specialize in RV transport. So leased on with them, did the onboarding process, and I mean, pretty much once you get everything finished, there's small little orientation deal you go through, and they just send you out with a camper. They usually send you out something within 500 miles just for your first run. Make sure it's something for you. And I mean, pulling campers and that kind of thing. I was doing that. I was helping my stepdad back in our fifth wheel when I was a kid, so it just kind of came natural pulling campers. That was super easy. But with them, the load boards, it's super cool. You just jump on. They set you up with an app, and you just go through. They have their own internal load board. So basically, these companies, the RV manufacturers, it's kind of a lottery system. They get X amount of RVs, and you jump on the load board, and you got to be quick, just like the regular load boards. But you spot something you want, you click it, you call, and the dispatcher they assign you puts you on it, and you go pick up at one of the multiple yards out there in Indiana and head wherever you're going. So typically, I was usually up because the load board, it'll start about 6 a.m. Um, Eastern time, and I'd be in Colorado. I'd get up super early and start checking the load board, and I was always trying to snag something headed out to the West Coast. That seems to be what paid the best, and usually I was able to get a back haul out of Idaho or Washington coming back toward Colorado.
No, that's pretty awesome. I just helped a buddy of mine. He needed some help back in his camper in at a storage facility here in Austin, and like it got right in, and it had to be like blindside backed into this storage facility, and I was able to finesse it for him. It is when I got back from this canoe race thing I did back in June. And so you talking about the RV storage. So yes, a kind of similar concept to where if you're leased onto a carrier, you're kind of working internally. So you're bringing them to like dealerships and stuff. It's not really private owners a whole lot of time moving
Yeah,
RVs. They're going from manufactured dealerships. It's another small little niche in there. You never know who's listening, who might be able to. Maybe that's where they want to capitalize on.
yeah, and I mean, it was something I definitely enjoyed doing. It's definitely more kind of seems more retired people were doing it just for the chance to travel. You can make a buck. Um, but the way I was doing it, I was actually able to capitalize and make some good money. I got set up with a good dispatcher. The rates seem pretty low when you're going into it, but I mean, it's basically just power only stuff. So you're just hooking up, dragging it to the dealership it needs to go to, dropping it off, and then heading for the next one. There is a lot of deadhead with it, but um, it tended to even out pretty well.
No, that's pretty sick. But you got the itch. You wanted to level up, which I think is actually, in terms of like, I guess like graduated licensing, like it's almost you followed the right steps of, pulling you moved some campers, so you got used to moving a trailer, and then you get the gooseneck, you learn load securement, and then you kind of just leveled up to the next size of doing load securement, just on the bigger trucks, so to speak. And I mean, let's touch about. I mean, you're about to hit your year mark with Valley Transport. I mean, let's talk about Valley for a bit. What's it? There's some people who tune in on Instagram. There's a lot of people who tune in, especially on Instagram, who always ask about companies and places to drive for. I mean, let's talk up Valley real quick. What does it look like being a company driver with them, or when you were a company driver with them?
So I called in. I had run into a bunch of Valley transportation drivers when I was still driving for the last company I was with. And then the last company I was with was a small mom and pop company, and they were great. But like I said, we parted ways, and I had encountered a bunch of Valley drivers at the John Deere factory in Waterloo, Iowa. So all of those guys seemed happy. They enjoyed driving for Valley. So that was my first phone call, and um, they answer the phones, which is nice. There's been times where you call into companies and you get a voicemail or you get a recording. They actually answer and they put you right through to recruiting. And the recruiting team took down all my information. And by later that afternoon, they had gotten back to me and they said, "Hey, so we can start you in this orientation group." They do orientation every Monday for all the new drivers coming in. And they said, "Well, we can get you started and we'll buy you a plane ticket." So they actually bought me a flight from Colorado out to Minnesota and then shuttled me out there. And the great thing about Valley is they actually have a bunkhouse. They purchased a hotel that was 10 miles down the road from where their main office is. And that's set up as a driver bunkhouse. They've got driver's lounge, stuff like that. So um, not only do they fly you out, they board you, put you up in a room, and get you transportation. They give you meal vouchers for your breakfast and lunch during orientation and stuff like that, which was super nice. And a lot of these companies do like weeks and weeks of orientation with Valley. You're just in there, 3, 4 days. By the end of the week, you're out in a truck. Um, and the big thing that really drew me to it, um, I've always been interested in truck driving, and I've always loved the look of the classic trucks, long hoods and stuff like that. And Valley's one of these companies where they hire you and they put you in a 389 Peterbilt, 18 speed, and send you down the road.
Yeah, when it comes to the orientation on Monday, it's when you say that, it actually rings it. There's another driver out there, and he comes in and out of the truck every so often. He's on TikTok. I'm not sure if you follow him. His name's Joe Seppi, and he's like made stickers that say orientation on Monday. So it was funny to hear you say, "Hey, orientation's on
Yeah.
Monday," and I know from I spent a little bit of a stint in recruiting, and those are always like, when it comes to carriers, it's always a red flag on what their orientation process looks like, how they get you there, where you're going to be staying. Like those are all things that are kind of things that drivers need to be looking for when it comes to, especially if they're going on as a company driver. If you're going to lease on to a carrier, it could be a little bit different. Like you're kind of already an LLC or what have you at that point, or you're working as a contractor. So little different, but like those red flags, like if they're putting you on a bus to get to orientation, especially if the distance is very long. It's one thing if you live 60 miles from maybe where the terminal is, and they either pay for an Uber or something like that. But if they're not putting you either on a plane or like paying for your rental car, it's like, oh, we might have a red flag on our hands. And then if orientation's, you don't want orientation too short to where they're just like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" Boom, almost like where they just take your fingerprints and then boom, you're in the truck, and there's no real orientation. But then when it's too long, it's like, okay, I've already had XYZ experience. Like I need a paycheck at this point. So when it's too long, it's like, all right, what are we doing here? But if it's too short, you're like, oh, they're just looking to get the wheels turning, so to speak. So that's on the company side. And so Valley Transport, what do they haul? Are they just flatbed, step deck? What do they got?
So they do have a van fleet. I don't know anything about the van fleet. I've never really hauled any van freight or anything like that. But typically they'll start you on a step deck. Since I came over to Valley with experience, I was able to jump straight into RGN freight. But Valley, they'll start guys on step deck, and you can work all the way up to 11 axle configurations. So they go all the way up to super loads and stuff like that. But primarily, they're hauling 5 axle freight, and 8 axle freight is what they have the most of. Those 11 axle guys, major respects to them. Valley doesn't have a whole ton of them, but the guys that are there, they stay there. They're happy, and I haven't really noticed a very big turnover rate with Valley, which has been a big thing with this company. Is when you find a company that doesn't have a big turnover rate, you're in a pretty good spot. And the nice thing too with Valley is if there's people that are kind of hesitant about getting into actually like driving a truck, Valley has their own pilot car fleet as well. So they'll set guys up, they'll send you to pilot school and get you trained in being a pilot car for the oversized loads and stuff like that. But yeah, it's primarily step deck and RGN freight. So it's all open deck stuff and dragging chains.
So you were saying, so you're saying, so for a new driver, so say if you don't have a CDL, they'll hire you as to get into the pilot car and then also put you through school. Were you saying that that was an option?
Oh, well, they'll put you through pilot car school. And honestly, I'm not too sure because I already had my CDO when I came over to Valley. I'm not sure if they'll send you to school. That might be something that they do on a contractual basis. I'm not entirely sure. But I mean, if people have a CDL and they're wanting to move to open deck or, step deck stuff, Valley's a great place to go to. Like you said, with orientation being too short or too long, Valley's in that nice sweet spot where you have your orientation for 3-4 days, and the way they have it set up is fantastic. I mean, you're not with one trainer or anything like that. They have multiple people from different departments coming in and walking you through everything, and they take you through securement process. And that's the real nice thing about Valley too, is once you're out there, your help doesn't stop when you walk out the door. um, every load that we pick up, we send pictures into our securement team. And if there's something that's secured wrong or not enough securement, or they've noticed something in the past where, it might not just be enough, it's legal for DOT, but they've noticed some different ways of securing things that work a little bit better. Or adding more securement helps out. The securement team will get right back to you. And with a fleet as big as Valley's, they've got 200 trucks and trailers. So, I mean, anybody at Valley, just about everything you pick up, somebody else has hauled. And the nice thing is they're not just going to explain to you how to do it. They'll email you pictures and they walk you through the whole process.
Yeah, I had a similar experience over at Warren Transport, where it's the same way. I had a whole Rolodex of people who were just like, "Hey, maybe you've hauled this load 4 times, and the fifth time you're doing it. If you feel as though you got a question, frickin', you can call this guy, this guy, this guy. You can send pictures to this guy. You can tell it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are, how long you've been doing it. Like they were just like, if you have any sort of confusion, like you can call the safety department or whoever, and they'll walk you through anything on that and make sure you're good to go. Especially because you don't want to mess around with open deck stuff. Like there's a lot of money on there, and there's no shame, and there's kind of no shame in it. So the training's good. We got okay. So they're putting you in good rides. They're putting you in iron. You can go. You can jump right into flatbed. They have van if you really want it. So when it comes to being a company driver, what's the pay scale look like?
So typically they start guys out at 56 cents a mile, and that's all miles loaded or empty, which is a pretty competitive wage. But they'll start you at that, and then you can work your way up. The really nice thing about Valley is they have a bonus program. So they do monthly bonuses, quarterly bonuses, yearly bonuses. You get safe driver bonuses and stuff like that. And um, if people want to jump on Valley's website, you can actually go through and look at the driver bonus program. And there's a company driver with Valley that, if I remember correctly, it was almost a $40,000 bonus check that he received from Valley for the yearly safety bonus. So, they start you with good wage. You've got the opportunity for bonuses. You move up. So as you graduate through different configurations and stuff like that, obviously your pay scale will change. So the guys hauling the bigger freight are making more money. They've got a salary program. Once you move up above 5 axle, you go salary. And those guys, I haven't heard one guy that's been upset about the salary that he's getting, and they still get bonuses and stuff like that, which is really nice. And I found out, and it's just I found my forever carrier pretty much. I mean, this is a carrier I plan to stay with for a long time, and they've got a lease purchase program, and that's what I got into. I was company driver for them for about 4 months, and then jumped into a lease purchase. And you have some of these companies like Prime and stuff like that where you have to lease 2 or 3 trucks before you actually get to keep a truck. And with Valley, I mean, when they've got a truck available and you're on the list for a lease, you fill out your lease paperwork, and when your lease is paid off, that's your truck. You own it. And a lot of these companies, if you're leasing a truck, or even if you're a company driver, they'll send you to a dealership if you have breakdowns or anything like that. Valley has a fully functioning shop with full-time staff. So if you run into issues on the road, even as a lease operator, they'll send another driver with another Valley truck on his trailer out to you, swap out trucks. He takes that truck, your broke down truck, back to the shop, and Valley does all the work in house. And they keep you rolling. You don't have to spend time sitting at a dealership waiting to get fixed or anything like that. So
yeah, that sounds like a pretty good deal. I was going to ask you what designed you to make that jump, but apparently, I mean, it looks like you said the president or the CEO or the founder of Valley. I think you were telling me he was a driver himself.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's my understanding, and I've talked to him at the yard, which is another really nice thing. Big company like Valley, the guy that owns it is actually, interacting with drivers. He's bumping elbows with you, chatting with you in the yard. But it was my understanding that he got started, took it over from his family, and they only had a couple of trucks, and he just grew it to what it is now. And he was a driver himself, and just ran with it when he got it. Really grew it into something great.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to see his drivers fail, and I feel like that's a common trend amongst the especially on the RGN and oversized. I know I spoke to a recruiting guy, a guy who was a recruiter for a large carrier out of Minnesota, and he was talking about how the turnover on their specialized fleet is essentially like zero. Like guys who leave or are retiring, so to speak. And it seems to be a common trend where, I don't know if it's community driven or if there's like this commonality. I'm not sure what it is, or if it is the pay or just how it works, or the different lifestyle. Because what's great about, I feel like, specialized, and for anybody, is a lot of specialized stuff isn't necessarily quote unquote expedited. Like there's no because a lot of times with oversized, like you're restricted to daylight hours. Like there's certain restrictions based on permits. So like I want to, for lack of better terms, there's like a work-life balance. I feel like to oversized, there's a lot of work, like whether it's tarping, chaining. I mean, trust me, I've been in 110 degrees in Laredo chaining down or strapping something. And so you're definitely putting in the work, but like drive time anyways, you're not constrained, and maybe it's by design, or as it should be. I mean, I feel like that type of freight doesn't need to be moved it's moved with a purpose, but it doesn't need to be moved, quick. It doesn't need a team load, like certain things are, like things that are expedited, whether it be parcel, whether it be USPS loads. Like it's not stuff that's getting rushed anywhere. So it's just like the work-life balance is a little bit better, where the pay's always there. So I always feel like, for anybody listening, if they've ever teased the idea of a flatbed or specialized, it's a good way to go. And clearly you're hearing it right here from Russ, who said that he's found a forever carrier to roll and grow with. So man, that's awesome. Going kind of moving into it, you do haul oversize. I mean, I got to get right into
Yep.
our next question. So, I mean, when's the first time you heard about Truck Parking Club?
I actually heard about it on TikTok, and I mean, my TikTok algorithm is nothing but semi trucks. And I just was scrolling through one day, and Truck Parking Club video popped up, and it was something different than what I was normally watching. It wasn't a truck right out of the gate, but saw the little logo up in the corner, so I stopped, paused for a second, and watched the video, and I really gravitated towards it because I was like, man, this is awesome. This is a commodity I can use. This is something I can use, a tool to find a place to park. Because you when I got into the trucking industry, everybody always asked me, well, isn't there a driver shortage? Isn't there a driver shortage? And I told them, through my experience, I haven't noticed any driver shortage. There's a parking shortage. There are way too many trucks on the road and not enough places for us to park. These truck stops fill up. People are parking all over, blocking pumps. I mean, it's a madhouse. So when I found Truck Parking Club, um, you know, it's it's a service to us drivers. It's giving us a place where we can safely park, where we don't have to worry about the fiascos of the truck stops and stuff like that. So it's been a huge help. And when I found it on TikTok, I immediately downloaded the app. And a couple of years ago, I was headed down to Florida with a load and was going to be going on vacation, staying in Florida for 2 weeks. And I actually happened to be able to book for 2 weeks on a weekly rate at one of the locations outside Tampa. And it was just nice being able to park my truck somewhere and know that it was going to be safe, secure. I wasn't going to have to worry about anybody messing with it. And it's as easy as calling the place. And, those people down there at that location were great. There's a phone number you can call, check in on stuff. They have security down there. I don't remember the exact location. That's been a couple of years ago now, but um, for oversized, well, a lot of times it's hard to find a place to park where you're going to fit, and I've got somebody clipping, your overhang, stuff like that. And a lot of these Truck Parking Club locations are wide open spaces. There's not a whole bunch of people there. Even if it is fully booked, there's still tons of room. So it's definitely been an asset that I've used several times.
Yeah, I feel that's always been the use case that I talk about, like being oversized. Like if you are, I think you can get away with it when you're 10 wide. Like if you're 10 wide, you can get away with by get away with, I mean, get away with being at a space in a truck stop. But once you're like 12 wide and like and like it's hanging off, like, and I'm just thinking of when you have like a piece of equipment, like a combine, for example, and the wheels are obviously off the combine, but like in your 12 wide, the hubs of it, the big, like I'm talking John Deere specifically, like big circular hubs when they're on the line. I mean, I hate to use this term, but if you're at a truck stop, you're almost quote unquote asking for it, like in a
Yep.
way. Like, and I got backed into at a truck stop when I wasn't oversized, and so this guy, I mean, completely came into the driver's side part of my hood. So it's like, imagine being oversized. I mean, you're just increasing your risk of getting hit. And I mean, I remember we were just at the Texas Trucking Show, and I was talking to a bull hauler, and he was talking about parking at some of our locations. And I mean, not only that, you drive, you just said you drive a Pete 389. Like
Yep.
those are nice those are trucks you want to take care of. You want to look nice. I saw you were just at the Streak and Beacon getting it cleaned up. That I popped in the newsletter, like something you want to look nice. This bull hauler I met at the Texas Trucking Show. I mean, he's lost 3 hoods in the last year alone from truck stops, like of from his guys when they're not loaded with livestock or whatever. He's lost 3 of those hoods, and now he's like, yeah, man. He's like, it's not worth it. He's like, if they're not loaded, I'd rather guys jump on the app, see what they can find for you. And I feel like being oversized has probably been. And I feel like, you tell me, are you able to kind of like plan your route a little bit better?
Yeah. So when I'm loaded, a lot of the times is difficult because just about everything I haul, I'm permitted. and I have specific routes that I can take. So unfortunately, when I'm loaded, I can't always get by a location because I'm not able to route that's given to me by the state. But when I'm empty, I definitely try to take advantage of Truck Parking Club as often as possible because I don't have to worry about, um, you know, all the stuff that we were just talking about in the truck stop parking lots. Usually if I'm empty and I know I can't load until the following morning, Atlanta's a big one. If we're picking up anywhere near Atlanta, I don't even want to stay anywhere close at any of those truck stops. And usually, if we're unloading in the afternoon and we got to jam down the road, I'm going to stop somewhere, catch a shower, jump right back in the truck, and I'm going to find a truck parking club location outside the city where I don't have to deal with the fiasco of all those people. It's convenient. But being loaded, when there is one along my route and I'm trip planning and there just happens to be a truck parking club along my route, which I've noticed now a lot more. A lot of them are right off the interstate, which is nice. So a lot of these locations I am able to dip into without deviating from my allotted route and that kind of thing. So it's super nice. Um, it, it it's something that I absolutely love using because, like you said, when you're oversized, you're asking for it. If you're sitting in one of these truck stops, you're just begging to get hit. Being able to duck in somewhere where it's nice, secure location, it's quiet, it's not overcrowded, you've got all the room in the world. It's it saved my bacon a couple times.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think about I mean, I rack my brain on the butterfly effect of if I wasn't at that Love's in Clive, Iowa, what kind of what my life would have looked like, what my bank account would have probably looked like. So
Yeah.
I can attest to that right there. And yeah, and as we, I mean, that's part of the reason why we're always looking to add the network, and we talk to property owners all the time, and location's key, and like being off of major interstates is good because yeah, as you said, like yeah, when it's I use them for content and stuff, but I go back and look at some of my permits, and yeah, it's like those permits. Yeah, they have the exact every single road you're allowed to take on that allotted one on your allotted route. So it could be different to deviate off of it as opposed to if you're hauling like dry van or reefer, so to speak. But no, that's good. And as we grow the network, hopefully there's some more properties for you as you're diving all over. I know you're moving a lot of equipment, so you're basically kind of going back to Valley. Is Valley Transport itself? Are you yourself whole lower 48? Is there people who stay regional? Kind of what, or is everything basically strict OTR?
So most of it is OTR, all over the lower 48. They do have a shag fleet that moves some more of the local stuff, but those are guys that kind of live in the area and have been with Valley for a while. Yeah, typically, I mean, we're all over the place. 2 weeks ago, I was all the way up in California, and now I'm on my way to the coast of North Carolina. And once I unload out there, be getting reloaded, and I'm probably going to be trying to head west or maybe down into Texas. We do a lot of freight out of the ports, so I mean, we're in Maryland, Brunswick, Georgia, um, down there. We get down to Florida, Texas, Louisiana, you know, the major ports we typically haul out of. So, I mean, we're all over the place. And with a fleet of 200 drivers, I mean, as we're sitting here talking, another Valley Transportation driver pulled in, one of the 8-axle guys, just pulled right in. So, I mean, with this big of a fleet anywhere in the country, we're bound to run into another one.
No, that's awesome. So kind of moving forward. I mean, the number one issue, obviously, to me and to a lot of people. I mean, and you said it beforehand. When as you were getting into trucking, especially big trucks, you noticed that there is a shortage of truck parking, which there is. But besides truck parking, what do you think is probably what do you like if you can wait either kind of two ways, if you can magic wand and solve this issue, or if you just know what it is and don't really know how to solve it, what do you think like the number one issue kind of facing the industry right now is?
CBs. Put a CB radio in your truck.
I heavily endorse this message right there. Now, what? How come? What makes a? I mean, I think it's arguable. Why? I mean, I'm a big communication is key. I mean, I was in the Marines and
Absolutely.
and happy 08-11 day to any cannoneers out there. I was an artillery guy. And so, but the first thing when it comes to artillery, first thing you do, like whenever it's training or when we were in Afghanistan, or the first thing you do in general is you throw up antennas. You need comm. You need comm before you can even talk to an observer. You can't get the fire mission without comm communication, without the radios working. You can't pass the mission out of the gun line. So communication's key. So I think there's an argument for this, but I'd love to hear your reasoning why CBs.
So I run Interstate 80 a lot. Everybody knows Interstate 80 across Iowa, Nebraska, and especially Wyoming. Just in the wintertime, those roads are treacherous. So knowing what's out ahead of you because another driver is able to call it out is big. But right now we're in construction season. It's hot. Cars break down year round. And people sitting on the shoulder, state troopers have somebody pulled over on the shoulder. When you're wide and you're running down the interstate at 70, 75 miles an hour, if there's a van trailer in front of me, I can't see around that guy. So my big thing is I want to see as far as possible. So if somebody gets in front of me, I'll drop back just to give myself not only that distance between him and I, but it gives me a little bit more of a sight line around him the farther back I am. But guys not having CBs, I've had it where van trailer passes and there's something on the shoulder and I didn't see it until he got past it. And now I've got a line of traffic on my left side and I can't get over. So I'm having to slow down, which poses a huge risk to the people behind me. If people aren't paying attention behind me, they're going to run into the back of me. People next to me, nobody ever wants to, slow down and let in a semi, let alone a semi pulling a combine or something. Everybody's in a huge rush. So it poses a huge risk. If I don't know what's out ahead of me, I could easily hit something on the shoulder or stops traffic. So communication between drivers is a huge thing. It's extremely helpful for us oversized guys. If somebody's headed the same direction as us, they passed us earlier and they know we're back there behind them. If they see someone on the shoulder, jump on the CB. Hey, eastbound oversized, you got a car on the shoulder at mile marker 80. It's a huge help for us because it gives us a chance to plan for that, find our opening so that we can move over, so that we can just avoid any kind of situation as we get to it.
Yeah, I think it's the most invaluable tool that you can have. You can have over the road. It's even if this happened more than one time, but even if it only happened one time, I avoided a fatality on 70 going through Indiana, where somebody going east warned me going west that there was a fatality at a certain mile marker, and he's like, "You should get off, get on US 40, go all the way around." And wouldn't you know it, he was right, and I got off and was able to bypass Indianapolis via US 40. And even if it was just that one time alone, that helped. That just like that's a late load right there. That's also money. That's like because I was a company driver at the time. It's also and if you're paid by the mile, there's your paycheck right there. And it's like the CB was what $100, and it's like it ended up. So I made money. Like having the CB radio quite literally has probably earned me more money than if I didn't have it. And and then another time, I've been told, just to tell people, like, especially if you are flatbed, I've been told that I've had a taillight out. And if you have certain taillights out, you're asking, especially if you're in places like Indiana and Ohio, where, state DOTs love to give inspections. In Ohio, they're at the they're at the rest areas, just, waking guys up for inspections. And so if you've got a light that's flickering or something like that, you're just asking for a quick, DOT inspection. And that happened to me once, where a guy was like, "Hey, one of your taillights, something's happened to one of your taillights," and it was a taillight on the RGN. And I pulled into the Loves in Richmond, Indiana, and got it knocked out real quick. And it's like, did it save me? Did it save me from getting pulled over? Did it not? I don't know, but I still think it's probably the most valuable tool. And I've heard the argument on both sides, like, in some way, because I know that, people say that there's larger fleets that don't want them to have them because it could be distracting, which is probably the dumbest argument. And then the other side, I mean, I've talked to guys who've been driving for 20 plus years, and they're like, "Oh, it's just full of people who are talking smack." So it's like, it's not where, like, it's people who, people are spouting nonsense on it. So that's why I don't have it. And it's like, okay, well, ignore it. Like, yeah, I mean, for all the other stuff going on in the industry, it's just like, ignore the people who are being foolish on it and just use it for its intended purpose of what it needs. I still think it's the best tool. Good argument to have that be the issue. I think more communication is key. I think the CB radio is also empowering. I mean, I think it makes you feel more like king of the road when you have it, because you got the power of the mic, you got the power to communicate and help somebody out. It's like, why not? But no, that's good, man. And I don't want to take up your whole night, but I always love asking this. Any final thoughts, wisdom, word of advice you'd give to somebody, either if they're going through it, or like whether they're going through a tough time, or if somebody's thinking about getting into the industry? You got any final thoughts or wisdom you want to let go on the mic?
Yeah. Do your research. For guys like me that wanted to get into the oversized stuff and that kind of thing, do your research on the companies, really figure out the niche in trucking. Because I mean, every kind of freight, there's a niche, and you want to find what you want to do. If you want to haul reefer or van, or you want to do strictly step deck or flatbed, or you want to do oversized and start working your way up into the super loads and that kind of thing, research your companies and figure out which one you want to be with. And it never hurts to call multiple. With Valley, I had done my research, so I only had to call the one. But research multiple companies, figure out where you want to go, find the right fit for you. And I mean, this is a great industry to be in, and there's not a trucker shortage, like they said, but we always need more. These trucks don't stop moving, and the more people we can get hauling and that kind of thing, it's definitely a trade that gets into your blood for sure. And to be able to interested in what we do is awesome. So the more people we can get into it is great. But do your research, pick who you want to go with, and I think it's absolutely a fantastic trade and line of work to get into.
Well said, well put. Channeling right what our buddy Greg said. He said, "Keep on trucking. It's America." Yes, you can always use a few good men. And dude, Russ, I want to thank you for spending Monday night at the Clubhouse with us. And for anybody watching, if you haven't noticed on the bottom of the screen, again, if you're looking for truck parking, again, you've heard Russ's testimony, kind of how it's helped him while he's out there over the road. Again, you can Russ partners with us because he's a gentleman who wants to, like Truck Parking Club, he's trying to leave the industry better than we found it, which is why he works with us, which is why he wants to help some drivers get parked. So again, that code FCKN TRCKN 20. So again, don't want to use the party language. 20. We'll get you $20 off your next booking, because and Russ knows this. And for anybody out there watching, Truck Parking Club's mission is to help truck drivers save time and fuel and money by efficiently helping them find instantly reservable truck parking by working with existing property owners that's already out there. When it comes to this mission, again, it is not getting better. The volume of freight is going up. The amount of trucks that are on the road is always going to go up, especially as the country grows. And so for drivers, businesses, for them to work efficiently, That's why we're working. That's why we're doing what we do. That's why we work with guys like Russ to help guys get parking and to find more parking out there. So, but with that, we'll see you guys back here next Monday, 7:30 p.m. for the Clubhouse. But other than that, we're headed out. We're headed out. You guys have a fantastic week. Go out there and